Hello, this is Lulu Cheyenne. I'm a watchman on the wall, and I just wanted to come on here and talk to y'all for a little bit. I'm sorry I'm not talking in front of the camera. I just been kind of resting and just wanted to make the video like this time, but I will make some more videos where I'm in front of the camera. I wanted to let y'all know that I took leave from work. I'm not working right now, but I still have my job. We have the option to self-quarantine if we want to, and all we have to do is call this number every single day to inform that we are still in quarantine. And that's what I decided to do. I was having nervous breakdowns, like a little bit of depression, and just not feeling very good. So I needed to take some time off. And I also had a problem at work, and I knew that if I didn't take some time off, the problem would affect my job, so I needed to take some time away from work. I was already having problems with focusing at work, like staying on track. Like I'd be looking for a mop bucket and I'd walk right past it. I was doing stuff like that. I'd be walking to go get something and I'd forget what it was that I was trying to get, because I was under so much stress that my mind was getting overwhelmed and I couldn't focus and think very well. So I needed to take the time away from work. And this coronavirus is mainly the big part about it, the reason why I was getting stressed out. See, at work I'm in maintenance, and I clean a lot. I clean the bathrooms, I clean the break room, wipe down tables, mop the floors, stuff like that. And I was trying to use my own chemicals. I'd buy my own stuff and I'd stuff it in my locker. Like I'd buy a little containers of bleach and some, Fabulosis and stuff like that. Anything like Lysol, Pine Sol, whatever I could find to help kill germs. Because the chemicals that they have at that store is very mild. They don't even leave a fresh scent when you're cleaning. You can't even tell that. It's like cleaning with water, basically. You don't have any kind of smell to it, really. And they get that stuff so it won't, I guess it's for the public, to keep people who have allergies safe and stuff like that. That's what they were telling me. Like when I had a little conference at work because I was, headstrong about using my chemicals, and told them I wanted to keep people safe. And so they had a conference with me and had 2 people talking with me about it. And they told me that we got to be careful. People could be allergic to a certain bleach. Like for instance, they may be allergic to bleach, and if it burns their skin, it comes back on the store, blah blah blah. And I was like, okay, but right now we're under a coronavirus problem, and I certainly would hope that person would be more concerned about dying from a coronavirus than whether or not they had an allergic reaction to a chemical. But I didn't want to argue with them too. I just like, yes sir, because I already knew that it's going to be their way no matter what. And also, I can't, I got to go with what they say. I can't just change the way they want to do things. But I just didn't agree. I mean, yes, I don't agree with it, and it bothers me that we're using chemicals that will not kill that virus. That bothers me. And And what else bothers me is I'm the one that everyone sees cleaning those restrooms all the time. And I see little kids going in there, and I see them stick their hands in their mouth. They'll touch like they'll touch, like we have this, I don't know what you call it, baby changing table, and they put their hands on it. They'll be looking up on there or something, and then they'll put their hands in their mouth afterwards, and I'm not their mother. I can't tell them anything, and but I see them doing stuff like that, and it bothers me that, there's no telling what kind of germs could be on the surface. You can clean a surface with water, and it looks clean, but you might not have got rid of the germ that was living there, and that's what bothers me, or the bacteria that's living there. And I just know from experience and the way that my mom always trained us is, if you want to get rid of germs, that like really bad ones, you use bleach. And I wasn't using it like full force. I was diluting it down some, and I'd added some softener that smells really good to take the bleach smell down so it didn't stink, like real powerful bleach. And people could hardly tell that I was using it because the way that I was, being careful about making it too powerful. And I've had managers come in the bathroom and say, "This smells good in here. It smells fresh and clean." And I've never seen a bathroom look so clean. And people that came in the restrooms, they would say, "This is the cleanest bathroom I've ever been in." They always give compliments. They could tell that it's clean. And even the ones that could smell the bleach, they said, "I like the smell of the bleach. It's not too powerful, but it smells clean in here." And so when I got told that it's a $2,000 fine for me using those chemicals or something like that, and I couldn't do it no more, that bothered me a little, especially when I'm trying to protect the public and protect the people that work in the stores. So I was like, okay, I wasn't concerned about myself, I know I should be, but I never try to put myself before anyone else. I'm just that type of person. I even prayed to God that if he needed someone to die, to let me be the one to go out of that store, because I don't know, just I'd rather be the one to go than let other innocent people. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not innocent, but people who have children and families. I don't have a family right now. I mean, I do have a family, but I don't have a husband. My kids are grown, and it's basically always just me and my dogs, and that's it. So I don't feel like it would really hurt. I mean, I know my kids would get hurt, but my kids are grown, they can still go on with their life. And so I just felt like if he needed someone to go, I would be the perfect candidate. Let me go. Don't let someone who still has a wife and children, don't let them go. But anyways, it did bother me, and I decided that because I know how I have depression a lot. I've always had it. Just something that runs in our family, I guess. I don't know, but and I have other issues, and I knew that this was going to bother me. It was started already bothering me, to the point where I couldn't concentrate at work. And before all this, I was already having a lot of stress, and I was having problems remembering what I was trying to get from the back. Like, I'd walk all the way to the back. I guess I'd be looking for like a broom, and then I'd forget what I was looking for. Or I'd be looking for some rags, and I forget what I was looking for, and then I turn around and go all the way back to where I was, and then finally I realized, oh, I needed the rags. Then I turn around and have to walk back again, and this is a long walk. So it got to be kind of to be a pain to have this so much stress and forgetting what you're looking for. So I knew I needed to take some time off. I don't think some of the people that worked there liked that I took the time off, though. That bothers me a little bit, because I went in to get dog food, and when they saw me, they pretty much told me I had to leave the store because I took leave and I'm on quarantine. And they were saying, "Aren't you afraid that you're gonna get sick?" Or actually, at first they were asking me why I'm at the store when I have the coronavirus. And I was like, I don't have the coronavirus. And people were walking around me, because I was right at the front door. And I'm like, why are y'all asking me, or saying that kind of loud when people are walking behind me, that I might have the corona? I don't have that virus. And then it's like, didn't you take the leave? And I was like, I took leave to self-quarantine. We have the option to, do that. And I guess they didn't know that. I don't know, but I didn't like that they were saying it so loud. When people were walking behind me, asking me if I, why am I at the store when I have the coronavirus when I don't have that at all. So I explained it to them. I don't have it. And then they said, "Oh, well, aren't you afraid that you're gonna get it?" And I was like, no. And then why did you go on leave? And I had to explain it to them because I'm having some mental problems. I had to take some time off, and too much stress, and but they don't understand all that. And then they pretty much told me that I had to go, and I was like, okay. So I said, well, are you sure I can't come in the store? Because I thought it was kind of weird that I had to leave whenever a lot of people that took leave before, but not for the coronavirus, but for other reasons, like someone had the flu, before this coronavirus, and they were on an oxygen tank or something like that, and they had to come in the store to buy some food or something, and they had walked around the store, and I saw them, and we were asking them how you doing, and stuff like that, and they were on leave for that, and they weren't kicked out of the store, so I kind of didn't know what to think when they were telling me I had to leave the store. I don't know if they were just being mean to me or not, but I just didn't know what to think. Well, anyways, I'm not going to the store. My daughter goes to the store for me, and if she can't go, then I send my mom or a brother. I got family here, so I'll send somebody to go for me. So, but it makes it kind of harder. But I'm actually saving some money, so I guess it works out. But yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm taking some time off from work. But I also wanted to talk about something else. If they start coming out with the vaccine, I hope a lot of people are smart enough and wise enough not to get that vaccine, because I don't know if what I found was the actual, patent or not. I downloaded it, but I found a patent on the coronavirus, and the people on it were from the United States. And yeah, it might have been over in that China place, but that might not mean nothing, because you got to think, when it comes to certain things, we store stuff sometimes in other countries. You know what I mean? There's probably a lot of things that we don't know that happens in this country, United States, and how we do things. Like they could be storing some of our weapons and our military equipment in other places. We don't know. So all I know is it did say United States of America. And you gotta think, even if it did came from China and was made there and all that, it was a bioweapon. And this whole thing was part of the New World Order plan. And the New World Order plan is it's a, how I explain this? It's different countries, all these countries come together as one, working together to bring in the New World Order. United States, China, you know, Israel, Italy, any of these countries, Russia. These are their plans to bring in this New World Order. You know, they may appear to fight against one another or something like that, but it has the fighting or whatever they're doing. There's always a reason for the conflicts. They're trying to achieve something before they actually join hands. They always have a plan, you know, and we just can't. The plans that they have for the New World Order are so complicated. It's hard sometimes for us to figure them out. But they do have plans, and they sometimes they hide their plans right in plain sight. You know, like we can, if we're looking hard enough, we can see them. But it's complicated. But yes, they are working as a team. All these countries, even if it don't appear that they are, and they're all working towards trying to get a new world order started. And even if it means that they fake a conflict with one another, just like how the whole thing with Trump, you know, everybody's making him look like he's some kind of victim all the time, you know. And when they do that, it just gains the sympathy of the media for Trump being the victim of bullying from, you know, so many people, you know. And that's the way they work. It's all mind control and manipulation, you know. Whenever in actuality Trump is cousins with Hillary Clinton, and they all get along with each other behind closed curtains, you know. But what they portray to the public is something different, just to play a game over on us. And because they're out to try to achieve their New World Order goal, and they have to do everything they can. They got to make everyone follow along with the New World Order plan. Right now, Trump is trying to get mainly the Christians on board with it, and that's his target. That's the group that he's targeting right now. I guess you could say that the people that are like Christians and the truthers, you know, he's targeting them mostly to get them on his side. But to be honest, he works with both. I mean, he works with the New World Order. There's not a side. They all work together. They're all ran by the Rockefellers. Just research that. The Illuminati, Skull and Bones, you know. And also, Trump, his pastor, was a Freemason, and Freemasons is part of the Illuminati, you know. And his penthouse that he has, or whatever he has, that building that's Trump building, you know. If you look it up, it's the building, I think it's 666, and then Trump lives on the six. His room is either 66-6 or something like that. You have to look into it. It's all there. And then when you go in his apartment, he has a lot of stuff about Apollyon. And we all know that in Revelation 9:11 it talks about Apollyon. But anyways, for the ones that are Trump lovers, I mean, I'm not telling you can't love Trump, and we were supposed to love everyone, but I wouldn't follow after him like he's some kind of god, you know. And that's what I noticed. A lot of people follow after him like he's a god, and they actually take offense. As it's like if you talk anything bad about Trump, it's almost like you're talking bad about them. They take it as a personal attack to themselves, and that's when there's something definitely wrong with that. because you're making him into your idol, your God. So hopefully you aren't doing that. But anyways, Trump is all part of this, and even if you don't want to believe it, and I know that he's done some nice things. You know, I've already heard all about that from a lot of Trump supporters. But just keep this in mind. Not everything that's like of the evil side will always show themselves to be evil. And how I explain this? Evil has to be they have to disguise themselves sometimes, and they gotta do something that looks good too, because you know they can't trick people if they're always showing to be evil. You know, it's like a kid walking down the street, you know, and his pedophiles driving next to him. If he was to sit there and scream at the kid, you know, get in my car, you know, calling him all kinds of names, the kid's gonna take off running. But if the man was to be all nice and sweet and be like, get in my car, I got some candy for you, you know, the kid may be lured into the car with him, you know. So keep that in mind. Not everything that's evil always appears evil. They have to sometimes disguise themselves. They even say that Lucifer disguises himself as an angel of light. And that means that he pretends that he's good when he's not. You know, so Trump can pretend that he's good, do some good stuff. And y'all can appreciate the good stuff, you know, that's fine. But just know that even evil can do good stuff. You know, and that's part of the deception to get you all wrapped up around his little finger. You know, so you always think that he's out for the better and not for the worse, and you don't see what his, you know, you're only watching the right hand, but you're not watching his left hand, if it makes any sense. Because what he's doing behind your back, you're not watching that. You're not watching him all the time. You know, if you're a Trump supporter, pay attention to everything he does, not just read an article here where he's donated like some money to some homeless kids or something like that, and you know that's enough for you to think he's great. Pay attention to everything he does, every single detail. Know who you're, you know, worshiping, or know who you're thinking is the greatest. You know who you're defending whenever you get angry, when other people try to open your eyes. You know more about him. Research him. And don't be brainwashed. And don't be afraid to see something that you didn't want to see. You know, some people are afraid to open their eyes or be proven wrong because of their pride. Remember, Satan, he fell from heaven because of pride. Don't let your pride take you to hell too. Open your eyes and don't let pride, you know, get in your way. Swallow the pride. Yeah, you might have been wrong, you know, about Trump or whatever. It doesn't matter if you were wrong. What matters is you woke up, you see the truth, and you're not going to be led to the slaughter, and you're going to, you know, repent and make it to heaven. That's what matters. Well, anyways, I have some video clips that I put together, and I wanted to show y'all these clips too. It's talking about the New World Order, how this coronavirus is being used to help them usher in the New World Order, how it's being used to bring in the mark of the beast, how it's going to be used to come after us Christians, how all this is, you know, coming together for the New World Order plans. And I know that Jesus is coming soon. Jesus Christ is coming soon. So we just need to be prepared, repent daily, wash our robes every day, you know, throw out the garbage every single day, keep yourself clean, and repent, turn away from sin, and be prepared, get your family prepared. And we're about to go home really, really soon. And I love you all, and God bless you.
Greetings, brothers and sisters. God bless each and every one of you today. I hope you guys are doing well. Again, if you are subscribed to this channel, we are watching for our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Titus 2:13, looking for that blessed hope in the glorious appearing of our great God and Savior, Jesus Christ. Jesus is coming, and he's coming soon. He's at the door, and we're going to be watching on this channel. We're not going to set dates because we do not know when that day is, but we very clearly see that day approaching, and we will be watching on this channel until the trumpet sounds at the appointed time and Jesus Christ comes for his church. Again, absolutely unprecedented times that we're living in right now. Never before in my lifetime, in many others' lifetime, including my parents, my grandparents, have we seen something like this coronavirus pandemic that's affecting the entire world. Again, we've always had earthquakes, we've always had plagues and famines and world wars, things like that, but in affecting certain continents and different countries. But never before in a very long time have we seen something like this affecting the entire world. And make no mistake about it, the globalists, the elite, the coming new world order, they're not going to let a good crisis go to waste. There is an agenda here. When you look deep down into it, there is absolutely an agenda that's pushing us closer to a cashless society, a coming global government, the coming new world order system, a one world religion. It's all staring us right in the face, folks. You can't make this stuff up. And it's hard to cover everything because there's so much unfolding so fast. But if you've been following my channel, one thing I have said over the last few years, and you'll know what I'm talking about, is when it comes to the coming tribulation period, which we're not in yet, watch the Pope Francis, and the United Nations. They're going to play a great role in this coming new world order system. Now, I believe, and I'm in good company when I say this, that Pope Francis is very likely the false prophet spoken of in the book of Revelation, who's basically going to be the right-hand man of the Antichrist. I believe a pope will be the false prophet spoken of in the book of Revelation, but I believe Pope Francis, in my opinion, fits the bill. I've been saying watch for Pope Francis and the United Nations to play a great role in the end times scenario, and we're seeing that now, especially with the coronavirus pandemic that's unfolding before our very eyes right now. I call it Agenda COVID-19 because there's something much bigger going on here, guys, when you look between the lines. And the Pope and the United Nations are now playing a great role. And there's many world leaders now that are calling for a global government to tackle the coronavirus pandemic. Let's all come together, one world. Let's all join the hands together and let's fight this thing. So you're seeing, again, a lot of world leaders coming forward now and calling for a global government. You can't make this stuff up. But I got to share with you, many of you have sent this to me, and I was reading through, there's several sources, but I want to share with you what many of you just sent me. First, I was notified from the Jerusalem Post in an article titled, Pope Backs United Nations Chiefs Call for Global Ceasefire to Focus on Coronavirus. So a global ceasefire. And I'm going to read to you some of what I got from my friends over at Now the End Begins, an article titled, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres and Pope Francis issue call to end all global conflict so world can unite against COVID-19. And look at that part right there. It's time to put armed conflict on lockdown and focus together on the true fight of our lives, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres said. The virus does not care about nationality or ethnicity, faction, or faith. It attacks all relentlessly. Speaking at his weekly blessing in Rome, delivered from the papal library instead of St. Peter's Square because of the lockdown in Italy, Francis specifically mentioned the appeal Guterres made earlier in the week. And again, I've said, watch Pope Francis and watch the United Nations. I believe, my personal opinion, you don't have to agree with me, that the Antichrist is going to come out of Europe. But here you have Pope Francis, who I believe is very likely a very good candidate for the false prophet spoken of in the book of Revelation, and the United Nations General Secretary basically calling for everybody to unite. One world religion, one world government. Let's fight this thing together. Okay, everyone, it's official. This is from my friends over at Now the End Begins. Okay, everyone, it's official. We are absolutely living in an end times novel with new and wacky end times things happening nearly every day now. Today's offering is Pope Francis backing a call from the United Nations Secretary General for all nations of the world to lay down their arms, end all conflict, and unite under the twin banner of the United Nations and Rome. Do you still think that the coronavirus pandemic is really about a virus? It's not. Like I said, there is agenda written all over this thing. Don't get me wrong, the COVID-19 coronavirus is real, and real people are really dying. And from the beginning, I have urged people to take all necessary precautions to protect you and your loved ones from getting the infection. Trump's own expert, Dr. Anthony Fauci, which I just heard him state this the other day, said he expects 100,000 to 200,000 Americans to die from the coronavirus. It's no joke, but that said, it is also a Trojan horse that is being used to usher in the new world order. Anytime you see the United Nations talking about anything being suspicious, anytime you see the United Nations collaborating with the Roman Pope, open your Bible and start reading. The United Nations is foretold in Scripture, just as the Roman Church, who will lead the one world religion, is also foretold within the pages of prophecy. Keep one eye on the United Nations and the other on Rome. Mischief is afoot. And another article saying, speaking at his weekly blessing in Rome, delivered from the papal library instead of St. Peter's Square because of his lockdown in Italy, Francis specifically mentioned the appeal Guterres made earlier in the week. In a tweet from Antonio Guterres, he said, "Today I am calling for an immediate global ceasefire in all corners of the world. It's time to put armed conflict on lockdown and focus together on the true fight of our lives, the COVID-19 pandemic." You can't make this stuff up, guys. The stage is clearly being set right now for the rise of the New World Order system, a one world religion, a one world currency, and the stage is getting set for the Antichrist. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line to all this. There's an agenda written to this whole thing. Yes, the coronavirus is real, but the agenda is even bigger. The agenda is even bigger. This is all in our face. Again, you got world leaders calling for a global government. You got the Pope now and the United Nations together calling for a global ceasefire. Sounds a lot like peace and safety, peace and security. They shall seek peace and safety, peace and security. For all of us to join together. Guys, we're heading full speed toward the 7-year tribulation period. The tribulation period is casting its shadow on the earth right here, right now. The one world religion, the new world order, they're casting their shadow on the earth right now. The stage is being set for the rise of the Antichrist and the new world order system right now. The rapture is going to happen, and then all hell's going to break loose. But the stage is being set right now. I believe right now, this is like a final wake-up call. Guys, nations are on lockdown from this thing. And, people are in their homes, stay-at-home orders. Why am I telling you this? Because we have an opportunity right now. Those of us, the children of the light that know the truth and the truth to set us free, and we see the day approaching, we see what's unfolding, we have a witnessing opportunity right now. Final moments, guys. This could be that final boarding call on the Ark. It could be. If we see the stage being set for the Antichrist, the false prophet, the New World Order system to come onto the world stage once we're out of here, we know we have to harpazo, which is seize by force, carry off by force, claim for oneself eagerly. Jesus is going to snatch those that are truly his off this planet before all hell breaks loose, before the time of Jacob's trouble begins, before the 7-year tribulation period begins. But if we see the agenda being put forth right now, for once we're out of here, guys, that trumpet could sound at any time, and we need to use whatever time we have left. As nations are in lockdown, as we're on our homes and we're with our close loved ones, and they're saying, what in the world's going on? This is craziness. We need to be there to tell them the truth. Tell them that this is all in the Bible, that Jesus foretold these times. Tell them that Jesus is coming soon. He's at the door. And today is the day of their salvation. It's time for them right here, right now, to repent, to believe the gospel, and to be converted to new life in Jesus Christ today. Tell them that today it's time for them to put their full faith and trust in Jesus' blood, to believe with all of their heart that he is who he says he is, the Son of a living God, him and him alone. Tell them that Jesus Christ is the only one that can save them, and he is the only way to the kingdom of heaven. And today they need to put their full faith and trust in his death, his burial, and his resurrection. Now is prime time for us, guys, to get those final people on that ark before the trumpet sounds. I had to share this with you today. Again, seeing the Pope now getting more involved in the United Nations, it doesn't surprise me. This is what I've been expecting, and it just shows us how close our redemption is, guys. Keep watching with me. Keep looking up. The King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the Son of God, Jesus Christ. He's coming, and he's coming any moment. God bless you.
Hello everyone, this is Brother and Pastor Craig from strministries.org, and you've got our YouTube channel, and I have another message for you here regarding these end times that are coming to pass with this coronavirus and FEMA camps and martial law and all the things that are happening in the world with the merchants of the earth and what have you, which we know is all this globalized system is to bring about worshiping the beast in his image. So hold on. So, as we all know, this coronavirus thing is clearly being blown up for another purpose. It's nothing more than a smokescreen of what's to come, and they are just basically testing their entire global system and where they're at. And as far as this coronavirus thing being true or not, I don't particularly engage in all that because I'm going to not play Satan's games, because I know that we have a greater message to present. And in fact, I would prefer just embracing this and using this as a door to open up health reform and a health message to those who are trying so hard to not receive this supposed coronavirus outbreak that has been blown up and out of proportion. And so a lot of people have been hearing and listening to this health message as so many people are running around this world in a panic mode and are very afraid of getting sick. And if we don't want to get sick and we don't want to catch any viruses that are out there in the world, then we know that we've got to build up this immune system as much as possible. And when we build up this immune system, that is going to be in connection with the three angels message, and people start to get healthy again, they're going to clean up their temples and their minds and their hearts, and then they're going to be able to understand what is being presented in these last days regarding the three angels message, to not worship the beast in his image and what have you. And so when we look at this global supposed pandemic through coronavirus that's occurring, we see that this is nothing more than a testing medical martial law, if you will, to where it's going to help them understand where their system is at when they do enforce Sunday laws. And so a lot of people would say, what does Sunday laws have to do with coronavirus and all this other stuff? It's simple. If you look at climate change and how it's supposedly destroying the planet, which climate change is nothing more than a hoax, and don't realize that it's actually the drips of the wrath of God and signs to come for rebelling against his kingdom and his authority and his commandments and what have you that govern this universe, which this world has openly rejected, and thus they're seeing the drips and the wrath of God slowly being poured out today. And so they're using that as a tool to claim that because these things are happening in the world today and people are getting viruses and getting sick and dying is because they're not going to attend church with the rest of the world and pray that these things would go away. And so they're going to use climate change and these virus pandemics and what have you to enforce their false religion that is coming in the New World Order. Because as we who know the truth understand that they have a global system that's coming where their global government will be dictated by their global false Vatican pagan religion Sunday worship institution that is going to try to force this world to bow down to Satan through the office of the Pope. And what a lot of people are seeing today is how the merchants of the earth are in bed with the Vatican, the religious institution that is controlling this global system, as the Club of Rome was established back in the 60s for this purpose, which you're seeing it happen today in this New World Order, and overseeing and globalizing the whole world, where they have divided the world up into 10 kingdoms. And those 10 kingdoms are starting to fall into place, but they're not fully cleaving together, as Daniel chapter 2, verse 43, I believe, says.
And we will tell the interpretation thereof before the king. Thou, O king, art a king of kings, for the God of heaven hath given thee a kingdom, power, and strength, and glory. And wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field and the fowls of the heaven hath he given into thine hand, and hath made thee ruler over them all. Thou art this head of gold. And after thee shall arise another kingdom inferior to thee, and another third kingdom of brass, which shall bear rule over all the earth. And the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, forasmuch as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things. And as iron that breaketh all these shall it break in pieces and bruise. And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided. But there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, forasmuch as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay. And as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. But they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. And in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed. And the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. Forasmuch as thou sawest that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and that it brake in pieces the iron, the brass, the clay, the silver, and the gold, the great God hath made known to the king what shall come to pass hereafter. And the dream is certain, and the interpretation thereof sure.
But one day, of course, that cleaving, eventually they are going to cleave together just before the coming of Christ, because they have an eighth beast that's going to stand up in this New World Order, where the kings will receive 1 hour with the beast.
And the beast that was and is not, even he is the eighth, and is of the 7, and goeth into perdition. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast.
and they will enforce their Sunday worship mark of the beast system to try to cause everybody to worship Satan and not the Creator God on his seventh-day Sabbath. And for those of us in this world who know the truth, we have a great work to do. A very big work to do in these last days, especially in a time like this where people are panicking. People are panicking, and when we present the truth to them, we can see how they're starting to say, okay, I understand. And so when we continue to preach and to teach and to tell our neighbors and to inform everybody that we can, our co-workers and everything.
No man, when he hath lighted a candle, covereth it with a vessel, or putteth it under a bed, but setteth it on a candlestick, that they which enter in may see the light.
And so now everyone's probably wondering, what's up with all these FEMA camps? Okay? Look in the Dark Ages. Rome hunted down, slaughtered, and killed millions of Bible-believing Christians because they would not adhere to their doctrines, traditions, and the keeping of the commandments of men, which all come from Rome, and their traditions. And this beast is going to do it again in the last days. Okay? And today, America, being the second beast, is going to exercise all the powers of the first beast before him, and thus is going to enforce Sunday laws first in America. When Sunday laws are first forced in America, as they have been volleying back and forth for it since the 1800s, okay, they almost passed Sunday laws in 1800s, and you see how the politicians today and President Trump talking about the National Day of Sunday Prayer and what have you, and then you have Kanye West and all these other entertainers talking about Sunday and Sunday this and Sunday that, and trying so hard to get it out there and such. Well, when they enforce it in America first, the rest of the world will follow at the coming of Satan, who is going to personate Christ.
And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus and for the word of God, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands. Then was Jesus led up of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. And the devil taketh him up into an exceeding high mountain, and showeth him all the kingdoms of the world, and the glory of them, and saith unto him, All these things will I give thee, if thou wilt fall down and worship me.
And so this is what we've got to get prepared for. And as we're getting prepared for this, we can see today that through this coronavirus, okay, how the merchants of the earth are controlling the food system.
For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies.
Trying to tell people, you're limited to this, you're limited to that. You can't shop on this day. Only one family can have one bag of huge rice, and so on and so forth. They're doing these things, and they're setting up checkpoints everywhere with the military and the police and the medical martial law that you see going on today. The merchants of the earth, these big, huge corporations, are doing everything they can to get in line and in check for this buy and sell mark of the beast system. Because as we know, anyone who will not worship the beast in his image, the Vatican, on their Sunday worship, will not be able to participate in the world's economy unless they have the mark of the beast. So they won't be able to buy nor sell unless they agree with Sunday laws. How does Sunday laws get into the mind where you receive the mark of the beast? You receive the mark of the beast in the mind, Sunday worship, because you willfully chose to worship the beast in his image. How do you receive the mark of the beast in your hand? When Satan, the king of Babylon, appears as the Messiah, the false Messiah, pretender of Christ, and he globalizes everything, what he's going to do is Satan is going to tempt everyone to worship him, and most of the world are going to go on that broad road and worship him because they're going to believe that he is the Christ that has come, but it's not him. And then what's going to happen? Those who he cannot tempt in the hour of temptation that's going to come upon all the world to test and to try them, he will kill them in the hour of power, with the whole global system standing up as the eighth beast of Revelation chapter 17.
And the beast that was and is not, even he is the eighth, and is of the seven, and goeth into perdition. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast.
When that eighth beast stands up, and all the kingdoms of the world are now united for that 1 hour with the beast to enforce Sunday laws through death decree, many are going to receive the mark of the beast by hand, by force. The hand represents our ability to work, and if we don't agree, we'll not be able to work, and the king of Babylon will take us by the hand and throw us into prison and kill us just like they did in the Dark Ages. And so, as these days are fast approaching, we can see how the end time signs are even telling us that the end is near, and we've got to get ready. We have got to do everything we can to get out from underneath the yoke of Babylon. When you come out here into this vast land, in this vast wilderness, and you come out here to get right with God, to grow spiritually, to be in the presence of Christ and his angels more thoroughly, and discerning it and feeling it and growing in Christ, you're receiving the refreshing presence of the Lord, and you are well able today and now to receive that latter rain to go out and to proclaim his message, because it is Christ who gives us the power and the refreshing presence of him being around us to be able to go do that, and to have no fear, and to change our lives, and to get into good health reform, and to eat of his good food, and to get into our land of milk and honey, to grow our own healthy food, so we're not corrupted and polluted by the system and the merchants of the earth and all their processed foods and what have you, which clogs the mind and the heart and the body from understanding spiritual things.
Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth.
And we've got to do everything we can to strive to be perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect, and not just giving lip service, but proving who we profess to be in Christ Jesus, and doing all that we can to stand as Christ stood, and to bear our own cross, and to receive our crown of victory in the end. Because if we can't be saints here on earth and keep his commandments and have the faith of Jesus here, we're not going to be able to be saints in heaven. We've got to be saints here first before we could receive the reward of heaven and being saints there. Bear the cross today, wear the crown tomorrow. And I just pray and hope that we'll all stand up with one voice, with one sound, and with one unity under the 3 most highest powers in heaven, uniting with the angels that are helping in this work, and doing everything we can to stand in the midst of the mark of the beast that's coming before everybody. So until next time, blessings to all of you. Peace be unto this day. Amen.
Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Richie from Boston. It's the 27th of March, 2020, and here we are again. It has escalated exponentially. Now, you can deny this if you like, if that makes you feel more comfortable, but you need to understand this. This is a takeover of the entire country, and the military are now being activated even more. It is getting totally crazy. This is a truck stop. This was taken by a trucker. Notice you see what I'm saying? That's one. And two, if you happen to live in Cincinnati, Ohio, these are parked in vacant lots. Vacant lots all over Cincinnati, Ohio. Those are for moving troops. Troops. These aren't medical vehicles. These are troop movers. These were just sent to me just now by a woman in Cincinnati. You see what I'm saying? That is not a National Guard office. These are vacant lots. She lives near here. And this just came in by order of your president, who loves you so much. Authorizes to activate duty not to exceed 24 consecutive months. Such units and individual members of the Ready Reserve under the jurisdiction of the Secretary concerned not to exceed 1 million members. From the White House. You catching on now? Well, maybe you'll need more, and I'm sure you will need more because people just do not want to wake up and understand they're going to need to face this head on or completely submit to the beast system the Bible warned us about. Yes, Virginia, this is biblical. We just went over this in a live stream, okay? Texas Governor Greg Abbott just deployed 10,500 troops. So 10,500 troops, divide that by 4, and that's how many vehicles on the ground. So you'll have 10,500 troops. But the person that sent me this email he was in one of these brigades in Iraq. Let me show you something real quick. Take note of what type of soldiers they are. Because they're not hiding it from you because you're not paying attention, so who cares? This is right from Texas's own website. These are the 72nd Infantry Brigade, the 56th Infantry Brigade, the 176th Engineer Brigade will operate 10 general support units. No medical brigade. These are door-to-door soldiers, exactly like I've been warning you's coming. If you don't wake up, you have nobody to blame when you are naked, cold, and alone in a concrete cell, or worse, taking the biometric chip that will track your every single move, period. They're not hiding it anymore because they don't have to. But the troops have been moving. The troops are hiding in plain sight. The troops are they're putting their trucks in vacant lots till the actual troops arrive. We are being encircled right now. You need to wake up. Or don't. Or don't. Just completely ignore all of this.
This is Dabu7. We have Trump signing yet another executive order, and this time, huge move here, calling up to 1 million different reserve military personnel in the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Coast Guard. All because of this COVID-19 outbreak. So now all of a sudden 1 million of our people are going to be out here for what they say is up to 2 years. It cannot exceed 24 consecutive months. They're saying that the Secretaries of Defense and Homeland Security, which is in charge of the Coast Guard units not subordinated to the Navy, are now authorized to order individual members and units of the Ready Reserve under their jurisdiction, and they can bring them into active duty. So they're saying they don't expect this, per all the terminology, to exceed 1 million troops, and they can't be there in active duty for 2 years. So they could switch them out and rotate like we've seen them do around the globe. But this is a huge amount of troops, a 1 million man army, if you will, being called up by executive order. I'm going to tear into this and break down some of the other details on the live stream. Make sure to join us 9 p.m. Eastern as I go live, and all the exclusive live streams over here on DLive as well. You can catch the replays down here below, as well as other videos. Links below.
As you watch all the army tanks rushing towards the major cities in America, do you wonder just a little bit if this is why Trump dumped so many billions of dollars into the military recently? Or when you look at some nations that actually have not a single citizen sick of coronavirus, yet they locked their entire nation down anyway. Do you wonder if this is how they show loyalty to the framers of the soon-to-come one world government constitution? And this government's going to be led by the exact same political entity that heads up the One World Church as well as the Roman International Court system? Or when you look back and you see how all the political and corporate leaders of the world were meeting with the Pope well in advance of all that we see happening, were they gathering there so as to receive instruction on when and where to bow to his future commands regarding all that we're seeing right now? And are you aware they have openly stated they are planning a new world order by the year 2030? So is this why so many changes are being made so quickly so as to meet the long prophesied deadline? I mean, can you finally see, as billions now see all over the world, that they are shutting entire nations down over something that is nowhere near as deadly as the common flu that kills many more people each and every year? They are literally destroying the economy in many nations for something we now have proof was nothing more than political theater, just so they can offer their citizens what America calls a stimulus package so as to better indoctrinate them into accepting Rome's socialist agenda. The fact they are writing new laws right now that are designed to replace cash with a digital dollar that can be easily turned on and turned off per individual in regards to whether or not they comply with the new and unjust laws being passed, this proves all is soon to be in place to enforce the mark of the beast in Rome. And because most people think all this hype about the coronavirus is real, the leaders were able to easily suspend the Constitution so as to allow military troops on U.S. soil, of which most cities, including small ones in rural America, won't even allow you to travel freely on their streets without certain papers, just like they did in Nazi Germany. And have you noticed how every company you have ever done business with, online or offline, have recently sent you an email outlining their public approval of all that the government is doing during the COVID-19 pandemic? I mean, we've all seen the emails. They're doing this because they need to comply in order to keep their businesses open. I mean, worse yet, are you wondering why they are right now talking about passing religious laws based on a Vatican version of Jesus Christ as we speak? And finally, does it concern you that they have merged this coronavirus pandemic with the climate change agenda of the Pope, wherein students of prophecy have warned is nothing more than something that they need to have in place to get all the leaders on the same page when it comes time for that global enforcement of the mark? If any of what I said rings true to you, and you want all the pictures or the videos or articles and even the doc files to back it all up, check out my March 25th, 2020 blog entry when you get time. Thank you for watching. God bless.
Okay, I'm going to go over this one more time because apparently it's not getting through to people. So I'm going to spell it out for you one more time, folks. And if you're a true truther, you're going to listen to what I have to say here with an open mind and not cut off the video the second what I'm saying goes against your beliefs. Because if you do that, that means you're brainwashed. Okay, that's what brainwashed sheep will do. So here's a test right here. Now, for a lot of you, this shouldn't be surprising. For most. But for some, it's going to be really shocking. And some of you are going to get cognitive dissonance, just like you did when you first were confronted with the truth.
No. I don't believe it. It's not possible.
I didn't say it would be easy, Neo. I just said it would be the truth.
Stop. Let me out. Let me out. I want out.
The enemy is putting out a carrot for all you people to chase after. Every president is selected, not elected. Now, it is proven fact that Donald Trump is distant cousins with Hillary Clinton. So listen, the reason why they had to introduce this whole new operation, this new psychological operation being played against the American people with Trump, is because people like you and me and millions of other Americans were waking up, and we were already aware of the whole New World Order plan and what all was going on under Obama. So what they had to do is they had to throw in this curveball to deceive people like us with this false hope of a change, and Trump is stopping the New World Order. It was all one trick to re-trap the truthers who woke up back into a safety net, making us think we're awake when really we're being deceived into a further game of 4D Illuminati Freemason chess, if we believe in this whole Trump QAnon stuff. Okay? I'm trying really hard to get through to this QAnon pro-Trump crowd who are like what seems like 50% of my audience. And you guys, listen, you're half awake. The other half of us, we know the full agenda, but half of these people are still half awake with all this and are being played. You're playing right into the elite's cards because you need to hurry up and wake up to the full truth or stay suckling on Trump's teats. Okay? There's not much time left, folks. Matter of fact, the QAnon PSYOP has already served its purpose of stalling people out of their souls, getting them to stay focused on all this political stuff instead of their salvation through Jesus Christ. These people have like a cult mentality where they act like QAnon is God. And it's so obviously fake that you guys are worse than the pedophiles that you think are being rounded up. You guys really are worse than the sheeple who are all the way asleep. Because at least they have an excuse. You have no excuse. If you truly had the Holy Spirit, which is the Spirit of truth, you would be able to see through this advanced demonic game being played on you by the grace of God only. And it seems like nothing I say or do can wake these people up, you know? It's likely only Jesus and the Holy Spirit can. If a lot of people, y'all are putting QAnon above God because you put more time and focus and energy into QAnon than God. You need to turn fully from the flesh and the politics and seek Jesus Christ fully with all your attention. All the attention you spend on QAnon, if you redirected it to Jesus, maybe you'd wake up and see the truth. And there's so many examples I can give, folks, but I'm sure 90% of them just clicked off by now. Because they don't want to hear it. That's what brainwashed sheep will do. They don't want to hear it. They turn away, they cover their ears, and they run. They don't have the ears to hear, the eyes to see. And I can tell who all has discernment because God tells us that we all operate out of one mindset, one brain. We're all tapped into the one true source. So when I see these people commenting, saying stuff, you can tell who has discernment and who has the Holy Spirit within them. Because the ones that do recognize what I'm saying because it's coming from God Almighty himself. The Creator is simply programming me and telling me to say all this. Okay? But those of you who do not have the Holy Spirit and are still relying on your fleshy brain, your heady mind intellect, which is of this world, the flesh is evil. You're not supposed to operate from your brain and your flesh. You're supposed to operate from your soul and your spirit. And those of you who are still operating in the brain and are still stuck on this fake political left-right paradigm, Hegelian dialect, QAnon is a deception, a live-action role play, and I've broken this down wide open. I've actually made a lot of videos about this in 2018 and in the past, but I know most of you aren't going to go back and look. So after this, if this doesn't wake you up, then you're too far gone in your trance. You need to get off this channel because everything is going to start accelerating this year. All right? Trump is the one they chose to bring about and bring forth the New World Order and the Antichrist. You're all being initiated into a new wave of enlightenment by Q, and you don't even know it. You're being thrown back and forth between the two Masonic pillars, stuck in confusion. There's so many examples I can give you about Trump. I mean, you guys are really following a false cult mentality. And I'm done talking about it after this. If you don't get it after this, you're too far gone. There's no hope for you. You're worse than the sheeple who are still stuck watching TV and chugging down 2 liters of Coke. The 5G is still going up. We all should know how deadly and dangerous the 5G is. And that it's being used to bring in the Antichrist, the New World Order, and full martial law tyranny on a level that the world has never seen before. This is going to be such spiritual oppression and such spiritual warfare using this technology on us. People have no idea what's coming. And it's already here. It's too late. QAnon has been placed there to stall you people out of your souls and stall you people from the truth, redirecting you onto nonsense. Okay? Trump is pushing the 5G so heavily with his executive orders, more so than anyone else, killing all these innocent kids and all these innocent children in the classrooms with this 5G. The chemtrails are still being sprayed over the skies every day, but Trump is making America great again, right? Putting up all these 5G towers which are killing people. On his 66th floor of his suite, he's got a picture of Apollo. Okay? He's a billionaire. You don't become a billionaire unless you're so totally engulfed in the flesh and engulfed in this world. You got to step on a lot of people and hurt a lot of people to become a billionaire. This is someone who is a psychopath, sociopath, and he's way worse than anyone else because he's got y'all fooled thinking he's good. The government is a magnet for psychopaths. No normal person seeks to rule after people and lord over people. Okay, so anyone who's in government, you're never going to see someone for the people in the political game because, first of all, it's already controlled by Satan. Second of all, no one who's truly right-hearted and for the people is going to go for that. Okay? Only evil, sick, twisted people cling to these positions of power. Trump was good friends with Epstein. Look at the pictures. He rode on his plane. He did. He rode on his plane, but everyone is still thinking, they just blocked that part out. They want to cling to this false hope, and y'all are clinging, and y'all are about to get your head severed if you don't wake up fast right now. This is the last chance, dude. He said himself he has never asked God for forgiveness. Do you understand? He has never asked God for forgiveness. Does that sound like a holy man, or does that sound like a satanic Luciferian? He is distant cousins related to Hillary. All presidents are related and go back to the same bloodline. This is the bloodline of Cain. They're the only people who get in positions of power and are able to rule this world. It's the 1% elite, the bloodline of Lucifer, of Satan. They're the ones controlling everything and bringing in this New World Order. Do you understand? Another thing, Hillary still isn't in jail. Neither is anyone else. We're going on 4 years hearing about all these indictments and arrests. Nothing has happened. 4 years. No one's been arrested. How long are you people going to hold on to this lie? Right until they march y'all up to the camps, huh? Trump is being used to bring out and lure out all the true patriots and truthers, and they've got all y'all identified. All you Q people, it's an operation to identify you Christians who are smart enough to know some things, but are too dumb to know you're being herded like cattle. And they're identifying you, and y'all are all going on the red list. I mean, this is so fake. QAnon is so fake. His stepson, Trump's stepson, Kushner, owns the 666 building. And if you know what goes on in that building, okay, Trump has handed over power to FEMA, the exact agency that's going to round people up. He's going right along with this fake COVID psychological operation. I don't understand you people, dude. Anyone who's been following me, I told you about the alien deception they were going to advance in 2018. And that same year, we see Trump moving forward with the New World Order plan by creating Space Force. Y'all really need to go back on this channel and go to videos and select oldest and watch every single video I've ever put out from the very first one to the very end, starting in 2018. And we also see him going along with this New World Order plan by following the scripted agenda, escalating tensions with Iran, which is where World War III, how World War III is going to start. Order out of chaos. Trump is their pick. Do you understand? Trump is the one they chose to bring this New World Order in. There's a psychic blockchain being formed all around us, and they're using QAnon and 5G. So look, man, Trump says that, maybe some states are going to start opening up on May 1st after he talks to his council of people who are really the ones running the show. He's got to talk to them first because they're the ones making the decisions. So 15 more days minimum of this tyranny. 15 more days of tyranny. No rights. Do you see what they're doing to churches? Do you see what they're doing to people who aren't wearing masks? This is about control and conformity. I don't know if America's going to be able to hold 15 more days, y'all. This is the first time in history all 50 states are under a national emergency. And when you're under a national emergency, and the whole United States has been declared a disaster zone, when a national emergency is declared, the Constitution is suspended. We are now living. The Constitution is now suspended right now, folks. We are living in tyranny right now with no rights. They just flipped on the switch just like that, so fast on all of us, and no one sees what's going on. Of course, they used the thing anyone is least likely to have expected. This whole 6 feet of distancing thing, the reason they got that going on is because it's hard to do facial recognition when people are clustered together and close. So they want everyone 6 feet apart while everyone's in their homes, not knowing what's going on. They're out there in all the buildings and all the schools and on every street corner installing the 5G millimeter wavelengths, installing the weaponry.
As you know, we've inherited quite a budget crunch from President Trump. How bad is it, Secretary Van Houten?
We're broke.
And they don't want you going outside unless you're 6 feet apart so that they can identify you with the facial recognition, folks. Everything is about to start accelerating way faster this year. Believe me, it is here now, folks. What we've been warning you about for so long is here now, and it's about to get way worse, way quicker than anyone has ever expected. We don't have any time left. This is the last time I'm talking about all this. I'm going to put together a couple more videos this week and push them out there for y'all to see. Anyone who wants to be woken up out of their trance, and anyone who can admit that they were wrong. There's been so many times where I thought I was awake, and it wasn't until I found Jesus Christ and God that he showed me the actual truth. We can't do this on our own. We can't figure this out on our own. Satan is so smart and cunning, he's got so many people deceived into a false hope. Look at the rest of this video, y'all. We're here. The New World Order is beginning. It has begun. This is only going to get way worse. I'm not a doomer. I'm a realist. And y'all need to freaking get right spiritually and prepare yourselves spiritually and abandon all the lies you've believed in and followed, like QAnon, and get on your knees and follow Jesus Christ as hard as you're following QAnon. Please, I'm begging you.
I was always wondering, how will they implement the microchip? How will they actually force people? Because people are going to have to get it done, and they're going to want to get it done. And you're not going to be able to get your banking and your food without a cut into your skin. It's called a haragma. It's the mark. That's what it called. That's what the Bible says. People can try to deny it all they want, but it's coming. And you're going to have to get vaccinated. You're going to have to get shots. You're going to have to. And all that will be on the mark, on the chip, in the computer systems, in the artificial intelligence databases. You will be identified as one of the system. You'll be in the system. You'll be one of the beast system's children. You get plugged into that system, and who knows how they're going to control your mind with these shots that they're going to be giving you. Who knows how they're going to control your DNA and your physiological body and things like that with whatever they're putting in the mark, inside the chip, whatever they're putting inside your body. Who knows if you'll ever even be able to consider Christ or the gospel again. Your mind and your soul may be gone. And the scripture says, whoever takes this mark will not be saved. They won't be able to say, "Oh, please forgive me, Lord." They won't be able to say, "I'm sorry, Lord." Why? Is it maybe that they won't even think about that anymore? Once we cross that line, once someone crosses that line, that Rubicon, there's no coming back. And see, we are preparing you to be ready to lay your life down. Tribulation saints are the only ones that are going to be saved. Because those that make it through the tribulations of this world and they hang on to their faith, they're going to be counted worthy. They were saved by faith through grace. And so we're starting to see how this may actually happen. You know, we're so used to living in a world where all you had to do is say that you believed in Jesus, but now we're transitioning into a world where you may actually have to prove that. We've always had to prove it, but this is going to be even more intense. The days of saying that you believe are over. It's getting into the age where you're going to have to prove it.
Hey guys, so this is a super short video. I just have a bunch of links that I want to share with you. They're below in the description box, and I really would appreciate it if you could open these links and read the information that's coming out in these articles, and you can see what they are planning to do with this vaccination, the mark of the beast that's coming out soon. They keep saying it's 12 to 18 months away, but then I've heard numerous times on the news lately, as well as in some of these articles, that that's in a typical situation, but because this is a pandemic, they can roll it out much sooner. They already have things ready. They're already starting testing. And these articles will show you what this is. It's some sort of a, it's not a normal vaccination that they give you with a needle. This is a some sort of like a band-aid type thing that they put on your skin with hundreds of microscopic needles that put the vaccination into you that way, and they just kind of rip it off like a band-aid, and it leaves an invisible tattoo. Obviously they're not going to be rolling this out before the rapture takes place, but so anytime after the rapture you could see this being rolled out. My guess would be July. You know, like right now there's about 5,000 people dying every day of coronavirus around the world. Wait till that number is at 50,000 or possibly 100,000 a day, and the people of the world are panicking. You've had alien invasion, the rapture, you've probably had a limited nuclear war, you've had complete economic collapse. People are afraid to even leave their homes because of this virus and how deadly and contagious it is. Just imagine what it's going to be like for people who are left behind, who have no choice but to take this or not be able to buy or sell or trade. And if they haven't prepared, the Lord is giving us time to prepare. He's making it obvious that the rapture is near and the day of the Lord is here, and everybody has time to prepare right now. The stores are still open. The grocery shelves are still full of food. The best thing to buy is canned food. Because you don't know for sure if you're going to have electricity. So to me, the best thing to do is buy canned food, buy bottled water, buy what you need for 6 months, in case you can't buy, sell, or trade, or in case anyone in your family is left behind, neighbors, people that you care about. Please don't just think of yourself and say, well, I'm a Christian and I'm going to be raptured, I'm not worried about it. Think of other people who might need this stuff, that will not be wanting to take this mark, but they also don't want to slowly starve to death for months. So I really want to encourage you guys to think of it that way. As I've been saying, I believe there's a second rapture event in the fall during the Feast of Tabernacles. We see in Revelation 14 there are 2 raptures, 2 harvests. One is associated with first fruits, which would be in April or May, And then the second one is associated with the Grape Harvest, which would be the Feast of Tabernacles. I believe it will probably take place on the 7th day of the Feast of Tabernacles, which is October 9th. But if the new moon in Israel is sighted a day late, it would be October 10th. The reason I'm mentioning this is because they've been saying for years that the real ID, Americans will have to have this real ID by October 1st. I believe this was a subtle hint that they've been giving for all of this time, that by October 1st, if you do not have this mandatory vaccination, not only will you not be able to buy, sell, or trade, but they will begin to imprison you. And the scriptures talk about a 10-day period of being imprisoned. So if October 1st is the date that you have to have this, or they will imprison you, then October 10th is the second rapture event. So that fits very well with the scriptures and with the puzzle, the possibility of a 10-day period there where you could be imprisoned, possibly even beheaded or killed if you do not take this vaccination or don't take this mark. I do have one article below that just talks about how Germany now is unveiling a plan to give people certificates if they've been cleared, if they've been proven that they are immune to this virus somehow. This is just a foreshadow of what's coming, that you will have to prove that you are immune to this virus, which is done through the vaccination. And if they can prove that they're immune and they get this certificate, then they're allowed to go back to work, they're allowed to go anywhere, they just have to show this certificate, and life can go back to normal. And this is what people are going to be crying out for in a few months, when there's so many people dying and chaos everywhere. And people are going to be so afraid. You're talking about asteroids hitting the earth and meteorites and all kinds of things going on at once. If you look at the opening of the 6 seals, we're just starting to see them open right now. And it's going to get much, much worse in the next couple of months. So please prepare now. Please start sharing these videos and these links with people you know to show them what is coming. I know a lot of Christians still think that there's a 7-year tribulation and 3.5-year tribulation coming. And so they're not thinking that the mark of the beast is going to come anytime soon. This shortened tribulation is only somewhere between 4 to 6 months in length, and Christians can survive this who are left behind or who become Christians during the tribulation. You can survive this. People can survive this, but they have to prepare. Prepare now for what's coming. And please share this information with people. God bless you guys.
We'll have a lot of unusual measures until we get the world vaccinated. 7 billion people, that's a tall order, but it is where we need to get to. Things can reopen if we do the right things in the summer, but it won't be completely normal. You'll still be very worried. We may decide masks are important, but the ultimate solution, the only thing that really lets us go back completely to normal and feel good about sitting in a stadium with lots of other people, is to create a vaccine and not just take care of our country, but take that vaccine out to the global population, and so that we have vast immunity, and this thing, no matter what, isn't going to spread in large numbers.
I am only here to give you information concerning the coronavirus and the information and the intelligence that God has provided me with, and not my own, but through military people, through Secret Service people, over 40 years of Secret Service in the Intelligence Department in the United States under many different presidents. So I'm giving you information from people who know what's going on. Okay. Now, as I give you this information at the end, the dire warning is this: no matter if you have a flu-like symptom, do not take any vaccines. I'm telling you this now, and this is from the Lord. If you have a flu-like symptom, get some flu-like medicine and get some rest, and you and your body will heal from that. Do not take any vaccines. If you take the vaccine, the coronavirus is in the vaccine, not in the symptoms, okay? Now, for you guys, you do not understand that we are in the middle of a revolution. I know you don't understand this because the Lord has put me in position to deal with a certain amount of people who understand and know what is going on. This operation is an intelligence operation that began by 200 generals, secret and secret service officers, okay? It began because of what happened at 9/11 in 2001. 200 generals got together and said, enough, okay? And so an operation began to overthrow this government and to stop child pedophilia and many things that were going on around the world, okay? How does this connect to the virus? First of all, they wanted to, and President Trump is aware of this, they wanted to implement a pandemic that would panic the whole world. To cause a pandemic, you first have to get people sick. How do you get people sick? You have to implement something in the air that causes flu-like symptoms. The designated spot to do this was in Wuhan, China. They set off 5G in enormous capacity in Wuhan, China. This caused the people of the area to get flu-like symptoms. 26 scientists said, do not conduct 5G in that area because it will cause flu-like symptoms. As people were going to the hospital for flu-like symptoms, they were given the vaccine, which was the coronavirus. So the cameras were ready to film it as they died in the streets or wherever they were so that you could see it. Because remember, their idea was to panic the world, and I'll give you the information that President Trump received. So that's why he didn't go on with some of the things that they wanted him to do, okay? So as the 5G caused these flu-like symptoms in Wuhan, China, they went to the hospitals for the flu and were giving the vaccine, which was the coronavirus. Okay. So as you see, it started moving out throughout the world, but it was going slow in their process because they had already had a plan, and I'll read you the plan in a second. But recently, there were 600 people that were arrested that worked with a corrupt government called the Deep State. They were all arrested, 600 people. Because of those arrests, they felt that Donald Trump was going too far as getting rid of the Deep State. So they decided they were going to increase the speed of what was going on. So you see, all of a sudden, it was here, it was a little there. Then all of a sudden, everything's got to shut down, right? Because of this 600 arrests, okay, of very corrupt people. So after the arrest, the process was increased to speed to the United States. Trump was aware of this plan of 1 through 10, and I'll read you plan 1 through 10. The plan by these people who set forth the virus was hospitals to get overwhelmed in a matter of 2 weeks. This is what the information he received. People will panic and make store runs. Sporadic looting will incur. Stock markets will plummet and tank. People, non-patriots will not listen to the president, but rather politicians saying that it is the president's fault will be pushed through the media. This will cause number 3 to increase, which is the sporadic looting. And also number 1 to increase, which means they will continue testing people and the numbers of people with the virus will increase. Not increase, but they will be said that you have the virus. It says in 8, first responders will be overwhelmed. Death rate will climb, not a lot, but enough to repeat numbers 2 and 3 and 1. So this is their plan that President Trump got a hold of through a military Secret Service officer. Another round test, it says another round tests are conducted, and then this process will continue to increase until there's panic throughout the whole world. So their whole thing is to panic, and they wanted Donald Trump to test everybody, and they were going to bring FEMA in and test everybody, right? So, and by them testing, they would say, oh, all these people have it, right? And that would cause more panic. Donald Trump said, no, we're not going to have testing. If you feel you need testing, you can go here or there, because he said he wanted it to be monitored because he knew what they were trying to do. They were trying to line people up, get them tested, and the people working for FEMA, which came into action under Obama and Hillary, would have said, oh, enormous of people now have the virus, and so therefore we have to bring in the vaccine. And this would have caused death. So Trump, in his smart, because he's not in this alone. Remember, there's 200 people that are behind him. Said, no, we will not get people tested. You can get tested because he knows the symptoms is not the disease, okay? The vaccine is the disease, okay? So to push this, they pushed it through the media. And if you notice, 24 celebrities have gotten the virus, who say they came forth and they have the virus. They don't have the virus, okay? They're doing this to push you to go out and get tested so you will get the vaccine. So they're using the celebrities to get the public to be aware and to begin the process. So they're using the media to set you up, okay? Tom Hanks does not have the coronavirus. Shaquille O'Neal does not have the coronavirus, okay? But the media, which is owned by the Illuminati, is using this to make sure that you go out and get tested, and then to make sure that you get the vaccine. Because when you get the vaccine, you will die, okay? Because the virus is in the vaccine. Okay, so my last word is this. The Lord said, I am warning you, the whole world, do not take the vaccine. It is a biological weapon to cause what you are seeing going on right now. And God is cutting it down in the middle. President Trump did one thing, and he said he will do it, and this is going to end the whole thing. He's going to declare a state of emergency for the whole United States of America, which will suspend the election, which will automatically make him president for the next 4 years. So if they want to continue, that is what will happen, okay? Wow. But it will be squashed because God has determined that you are not going to take my people out because my church is still in the world. Praise God. Amen. That's all I have to say.
Oh.
Hallelujah.
Amen.
Today, the greatest risk of global catastrophe doesn't look like this. Instead, it looks like this. If anything kills over 10 million people in the next few decades, it's most likely to be a highly infectious virus rather than a war. Not missiles, but microbes. Now, part of the reason for this is that we've invested a huge amount in nuclear deterrence, but we've actually invested very little in a system to stop an epidemic. We're not ready for the next epidemic. I often talk about how vaccines are a miracle. They've saved millions of lives. But exactly how do they work? Well, they connect to the human immune system, which is itself really phenomenal. So when a germ gets inside and attacks your body, the immune system sees unusual foreign shapes on the surface. And then special cells in your body called white blood cells create antibodies that connect up then your immune system knows to go and kill this foreign object. The idea of the vaccine is instead of having to get sick the first time to develop this immunity, we take something that looks like a foreign bug, teach the immune system the shape of this foreign object so it's ready to attack with antibodies very, very quickly when the real bug shows up, so you can avoid lots of diseases if you've been properly vaccinated. And that's why Gavi was created. Gavi came up with the money and a plan to get vaccines out to all the kids of the world. If you go back to 1990, about 9% of all children died before the age of 5. Now, that number is about 4%. And these vaccines that Gavi got out have been critical to that. So it really is a miracle. You can read more about vaccines and the investments we've made at gatesletter.com.
The ability to prove one's identity is a fundamental and universal human right.
We live in a digital era.
Individuals need a trusted, verifiable way to prove who they are,
both in the physical world
and online.
Over 1 billion people worldwide are unable to prove their identity through any recognized means.
As such, they are without the protection of law and are unable to access basic services, participate as a citizen or voter, or transact in the modern economy.
La mayoría de esos afectados son niños y adolescentes. Muchos de ellos son refugiados, desplazados forzosos o personas sin país.
For some, including refugees, the stateless, and other marginalized groups, reliance on national identification systems isn't possible.
The National Guard, the Texas National Guard, that they're heading out to neighborhoods in the Dallas area. You know, Dallas is also a stay-at-home city. That was the order that was issued. The Dallas County Judge, Clay Jenkins, says he's sending out the Texas National Guard on a medical mission. And so what that means is they're going door to door to see who may have come in contact with a coronavirus patient. The judge stressed this is the guards will not be there for law enforcement reason. So really, guys, it's just a way for the National Guard to go to you so that you don't have to go out to your doctor's office or overwhelm the hospital emergency rooms.
And Sally, you know, we here in Austin, it feels like we've been maybe 1 or 2 days behind Dallas when it's come to the, you know, the bar bans, the restaurant bans, and then also the stay-at-home order. And so I wonder if we might eventually see that here in Austin as well.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully not, but social distancing, that should help, Tom.
Exactly. We're all doing our part. Thanks, Sally.
Okay. What's up, YouTube? It's Richie from Boston. It's the 30th of March in the year 2020. And that's the mainstream news in Texas. In Texas, they're slow rolling everyone, getting everyone used to seeing troops on the ground. Do you see what I'm saying? They're coming to you, so you don't have to go to the doctor and overwhelm them. Even though dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of people all over the world have gone to doctor's office triage tents and they're all empty. Okay? So let's start with that. They put up roadblocks. Trump extends social distancing guidelines again. Well, those guidelines are no big deal. Okay, they're no big deal. Well, in Florida, they arrested a pastor for holding church services despite the stay-at-home order. Do you see what I'm saying? Arrested. In the western states where there's cowboys, where people have open carry, where people have weapons, they're running it slowly. First of all, there's a lot of space between towns. I can absolutely testify to that. I just did 200 miles right now from Mike's house, took a long ride, and went out and talked to people. There's nobody on the roads. Everybody is doing as they're told. Social distancing, people. And again, here's Dr. Fauci explaining why Trump extended the order. Now listen closely.
America's top expert on infectious disease, Dr. Anthony Fauci. Dr. Fauci, thank you for your time this morning and for your tireless service over these last several weeks and years. As we heard from the president all last week, he was hoping that we could reopen the country by Easter, but of course, we saw that extension of the guidelines yesterday. Take us inside that decision. What convinced the president was necessary? What convinced you? Well, it was clear, George, that the dynamics of the outbreak, what was going on in cities like New York City and Westchester and New Orleans and others, was clearly still on an uptick. And to pull back the mitigation methods before you reached the peak and turned the corner, I think really would have been imprudent, because that would have merely regenerated the spike to go up. So we had some intensive conversations with him, and we convinced him. He listened, and we said the better part of valor would be to extend them until the end of April, when we think it would peak and start coming down. I mean, these are all projections, but the thing we were pretty sure of is that if we prematurely did it, it would likely rebound, and that's one thing you did not want to happen.
So that's what Dr. Fauci is telling the mainstream. That's what he's telling America. But to his colleagues, who are all coming out right now saying, hey, COVID-19 is nothing, it's a mild flu. Well, Dr. Fauci, you know, this guy, just 4 days ago wrote in the New England Journal of Medicine. Now, if you don't know what that is, it's what doctors write articles to other doctors about. And in this article, the doctor wrote exactly what I've been telling you. COVID-19 may ultimately be more akin to a severe seasonal flu, which has a case fatality rate of approximately 0.1%, not 1%, 0.1%. So he's telling America that we've got curves and we've got all these other wacky things going on, and, you know, this, that, and the other thing. It sounds really familiar.
Well, it was clear, George, that the dynamics of the outbreak, what was going on in cities like New York City and Westchester and New Orleans and others, was clearly still on an uptick. And to pull back the mitigation methods before you reached the peak and turned the corner, I think really would have been imprudent, because that would have merely regenerated the spike to go up.
Remember this old piece of propaganda used so successfully against American citizens? Because I do, and it's happening again.
There are reports that there is no evidence of a direct link between Baghdad and some of these terrorist organizations.
There are known knowns. There are things we know we know. We also know there are known unknowns. That is to say, we know there are some things we do not know. But there are also unknown unknowns. The ones we don't know, we don't know.
Well, it was clear, George, that the dynamics of the outbreak, what was going on in cities like New York City and Westchester and New Orleans and others, was clearly still on an uptick. And to pull back the mitigation methods before you reached the peak and turned the corner, I think really would have been imprudent, because that would have merely regenerated the spike to go up. So we had some intensive conversations with him, and we convinced him. He listened, and we said the better part of valor would be to extend them until the end of April, when we think it would peak and start coming down. I mean, these are all projections, but the thing we were pretty sure of is that if we prematurely did it, it would likely rebound, and that's one thing you did not want to happen.
Knowns. There are things we know we know. We also know there are known unknowns. That is to say, we know there are some things we do not know.
Prudent, because that would have merely regenerated the spike to go up. So we had some intensive conversations with him, and we convinced him. He listened, and we said the better part of valor would be to extend them until the end of April, when we think it would peak and start coming down. I mean, these are all projections, but the thing we were pretty sure of is that if we prematurely did it, it would likely rebound, and that's one thing you did not want to happen.
New England Journal of Medicine, days ago, saying the same thing. Don't you think it's really funny that everyone's getting video that Italy's massive deaths have been leaking out, that it was nothing but, you know, the average deaths? Do you realize how many people die on Earth every day? They're simply slapping the COVID virus tag on them so they can continue moving this forward. I keep getting emails asking me about somebody I had on live streams all the time, and I'm not going to have them on anymore because they're making videos explaining to you how you can just ignore this, how none of this, how you can use the law to get out of this. I'm afraid I'm going to have to break it to you people. This entire thing is illegal. They've shut down the entire world, and they're continuing to extend it and extend it and extend it. And you know how we know they're watching? Because they're putting out anti-troop movement propaganda, like the one I showed you yesterday.
Today sparked many questions to us on social media, so take a look. Air 7 capturing these images of a train full of armored tanks. Several of you reached out to us wondering if the transport of these tanks was tied to the coronavirus emergency. We reached out to the military and learned that no, this is not tied to coronavirus. These are armored vehicles. They were part of a battalion that returned from the Middle East. They arrived in Port Hueneme and are now being sent back to Texas.
And are now being sent back to Texas. And suddenly, there's no more video of troop movements. And yet, I'm still getting emails showing me pictures of troop vehicles showing up overnight. Why do you think they're doing this when the main person telling the president what to do is telling you one thing, and then in real medical magazines, he's telling you exactly what I've been telling you? Do you see what I'm saying? You can think you're going to file a lawsuit or use the law to get around this, but I don't know how long it's going to take for you to understand this is entirely illegal. The entire premise is a complete and utter lie. COVID-19, just like the medical professional told me when I first started telling you this, told me the same thing. And Dr. Fauci is telling you that rather it's unlike a SARS or MERS or, or any of the other things they conjure up. Do you see what I'm saying? This is all absolute and total bullshit. The fact that the president is even... Where is it? I lost the link. My bad. The fact that the president is even extending this another 30 days and people are actually getting arrested for it in the soft states. Florida is mostly elderly people. New England got completely shut down with checkpoints on the highway because it's mostly educated people that think guns are stupid and guns kill people even without people behind the trigger. Do you follow what I'm saying? I'm going to leave you all the links. You may want to get educated on this yourself and ask yourself, why is he writing in real professional journals that Americans don't read? Why is he writing this disease has a 0.1% chance of killing people? Those are his words, not mine. And then on the news, he's telling us this disease isn't done spreading yet. Well, if this disease is simply more akin to a seasonal flu, why are we in lockdown? Why are the actual death rate numbers so way down? Why are every single video coming out of every hospital, every triage unit showing them empty, totally empty? You may want to figure this out. They extended it for a reason. Because it's working so well, why spook the sheep when you can simply slow it down and continue to drag it out? These are supposed to be elected public servants that have suddenly told you don't have your God-given right to go outside or do what you want without fear of being arrested. I'm doing it. You should too. This is total, complete, utter nonsense. And their own medical paperworks, if you bother to read them, prove that. I'm out.
Excuse me, on the left over here, we have individuals who are religious fundamentalists, religious fanatics, and this is the expression, RT-PCR, real-time PCR expression of the VMAT2 gene. Over here, we have individuals. So let me complete. So over here, we have individuals who are not particularly fundamentalist, not particularly religious, and you can see there's a much reduced expression of this particular gene, the VMAT2 gene. Another evidence that supports our hypothesis for the development of this approach.
What you see here is by spreading this virus, we're going to eliminate individuals from donning on a bomb vest and going into a market and blowing up the market.
So our hypothesis is that these are fanatical people, that they have overexpression of the VMAT2 gene, and that by vaccinating them against this, we'll eliminate this behavior. So we have some very, very remarkable data in this next slide. Here we have two brain scans. These are fMRIs. These are two different individuals with different levels of expression of VMAT2. On top is an individual who's a religious fanatic, an individual, and we've repeated this numerous times, that has high levels of VMAT2. Now, this individual down here who had low levels of the VMAT2 gene, this individual would self-describe as not particularly religious. In each case, these individuals were read a religious text. this individual lit up the right middle frontal gyrus, shown here, and that's a part of the brain that's associated with theory of mind. It's a part of the brain that has to do with intents and beliefs and desires. In contrast, in marked contrast, here's an individual who would not particularly self-describe as religious, and when they're read a religious text, what you see is that this part of the brain called the anterior insula lights up. This is a part of the brain that's associated with disgust or displeasure on hearing something.
So you're suggesting I take a CT scan with me when I'm evaluating people to determine whether I put a bullet in their head?
So the data that I'm presenting here supports the concept that we're proposing, and I think that we would not propose to do CT scans or fMRIs on individuals out in the hinterlands of Afghanistan. The virus would immunize against this VMAT2 gene, and that would have the effect that you see here, which is it's essentially to turn a fanatic into a normal person. And we think that will have major effects in the Middle East.
How would you suggest that this is going to be dispersed? The aerosol?
Well, so the present plan and the tests that we've done so far have used respiratory viruses, such as flu or rhinoviruses, and we believe that that's a satisfactory way to get the exposure of the largest part of the population. Most of us, of course, have been exposed to both of those viruses, and we're quite confident that this will be a very successful approach.
This is fascinating. What's the name of this proposal?
Yeah, so the name of this project is FunVax, which is the vaccine for religious fundamentalism.
And you have a proposal already?
The proposal has just been submitted, and I think that the data that I have shown you today would support the development of this project, and we think it has great promise.
It looks like the only vehicles, though, Kyung, we're seeing are really police vehicles right now. I assume they've blocked off the roads going through the campus. And as we've pointed out, this is a huge campus, what more than 419 acres on this campus, right in the middle of the west side of Los Angeles. I assume, Tom Fuentes, that SWAT teams have been deployed, the best that the LAPD has.
Well, I'm sure they're going to be at least staged nearby. I think they're probably not going to have them running around on the street in all that tactical gear, not knowing where they might be needed. So they usually pick a staging area, have them prepare in case they end up with a barricaded subject or some type of a difficult tactical problem, and they'll just be nearby. You probably won't see them until they get some kind of report of an individual or a group of individuals that they may need to deal with in one of those buildings or one of the locations.
We're told the police are investigating this shooting at Engineering 4.
Okay, so I called you, like you said. I mean, it's not my fault. They got. Hey, we held that bar in. We're still in. The whole, New World Order thing. The whole, New World Order thing. The whole, New World Order thing.
Locator. Where is it?
Okay, all he had was a knife and that rock.
That's one of the buildings. Police are on the scene. They report that there are now 2 victims. We don't know the condition of the victims. The campus-wide lockdown, campus-wide lockdown continues. People are being asked to shelter in place. Continues. People are being asked to shelter in place. Continues. People are being asked to shelter in place.
Shout out to Black Diamond.
Purchase your tracks today.
You wrote in your book, Hard Choices, that you were directing the State Department response the night of September 11th, 2012, but you also stated that you left your office on the night of the attacks and went to your home in Northwest Washington because you said you knew the next few days were going to be taxing and the department was going to be looking to you. I want to talk about a few things. Do you have a SCIF in your home?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and who else was at your home? Were you alone?
I was alone, yes.
The whole night?
Well, yes, the whole night.
Well, I don't know why that's funny. I mean, did you have any in-person briefings? I don't find it funny at all.
I'm sorry, a little note of levity at 7:15. I'm sorry, a little note of levity at 7:15. I'm sorry, a little note of levity at 7:15.
Purchase your tracks today. Purchase your tracks today. Purchase your tracks today.
Shout out to Black Diamond.
Purchase your tracks today.
Project Pandora. In 1953, the Russians began to bombard the U.S. Embassy in Moscow with electromagnetic radiation in the microwave spectrum, but the fact was kept secret from the embassy employees. U.S. Ambassador Stossel contracted a blood disease, bleeding eyes, nausea, and eventually lymphoma. He and other employees eventually died as a result of the microwave attacks. Dr. Henry Kissinger sent a secret memo giving hazard pay to embassy personnel in the 1970s. Before the attacks, the USSR had met with the U.S. to try to head off an arms race in electromagnetic weapons, but were refused. In retaliation, they began microwaving the U.S. Embassy. It is possible that the U.S. government took advantage of the situation and used the embassy staff as microwave guinea pigs. The Department of Defense's Advanced Research Projects Agency, ARPA, set up a lab at Walter Reed Army Institute of Research and participated in Project Pandora. Scientists began zapping monkeys to study the biological effects of highly concentrated microwave frequencies. Similar studies were conducted at the VA hospital in Kansas City, University of Rochester, Brooks Air Force Base, Johns Hopkins, MIT, the MITRE Corporation, University of Pennsylvania, and other domestic and foreign labs. In one study, Dr. Jose Delgado experimented on 4 human subjects using radio waves, reporting they experienced different emotions, sensations, and colored visions. Delgado stated that these weapons were, quote, more dangerous than atomic destruction. With knowledge of the brain, he said, we may transform, we may shape, direct, roboticize man. I think the great danger of the future is that we will have roboticized human beings who are not aware that they have been roboticized, unquote. Dr. Delgado was in fact responsible for the development of a brain transponder that was used to roboticize human subjects.
And posted by Janet Napolitano of the Department of Homeland Security proves that a relationship has existed between Walmart and the government involving Homeland Security.
Hi, I'm Janet Napolitano, Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. Homeland Security begins with hometown security. That's why I'm pleased that Walmart is helping to make our communities more safe and secure. If you see something suspicious in the parking lot or in the store, say something immediately. Report suspicious activity to your local police or sheriff. If you need help, ask a Walmart manager for assistance.
Why Walmart, one of the biggest retailers in the world, is intricately involved in the DHS is a mystery. Number 5. What you may not know about Walmart might actually shock you. Walmart is an industry leader and pilot of biometric and RFID technology, becoming one of the first Fortune 500 companies to employ RFID throughout its supply chain. Back in 2012 and 2013, Walmart brought Solo Health stations into their store and announced that they were a part of an Obamacare initiative. What very few people took note of was the machine's ability to scan RFID chip technology. Specifically, it had an apparatus underneath the machine that was used to scan RFID chips and to collect huge quantity of data on individuals. An RFID chip was one method of activating the machine's memory, which allowed it to store data on literally thousands upon thousands of people who used it. The Solo Health machine has been under quiet production for many years, with Walmart as a pilot company testing out these machines. Much of what Walmart has done with Solo Health stations has gone under the radar. And in case you don't believe me, I want to read an article from an online publication called Modern Materials Handling. They document that Walmart and the Department of Defense have a long-standing partnership on RFID technology initiation, going back to the early 2000s. This partnership was to track items as a part of the supply chain. This article goes on to speculate that RFID will be introduced on a much wider scale in 2016, and that RFID needs to be reinvented. Walmart and the Department of Defense have worked together on this. So was RFID just a project to track items, to track products in the store? Or perhaps was it for another reason, to track something else? Are Walmarts now transitioning to their true purpose?
But first, never-before-seen video of Hillary Clinton inside the Walmart empire. She is probably one of the most investigative politicians in American history. And this morning, you're going to see her in a way you've never seen her before, serving on the board of Walmart. ABC News Chief Investigative Correspondent Brian Ross is here with details on this. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning, Robin. Although she makes no mention of it in her official biography, Hillary Clinton served for 6 years on the board of Walmart, the huge retailer criticized by many for its treatment of workers workers and its strident opposition to unions. Just how strident can be seen in videotapes ABC News has obtained from the archives of a production company hired by Walmart to record its meetings, now providing our rare clips inside the company and a very corporate Hillary Clinton. Walmart's opposition to unions was led for decades by labor lawyer John Tate, who after his retirement proudly recalled at this company meeting in 2004 what he said was his favorite phrase.
Labor unions are nothing but blood-sucking parasites living off of the productive labor of people who work for a living.
Hillary Clinton was not present at this Walmart meeting, but Tate was relied on for years to keep unions out at Walmart, including during the 6 years from 1986 to 92 when Clinton was on the Walmart board and Tate was either an executive or a member of the board himself. But nowhere on the tapes of the 4 stockholder meetings Clinton attended during that time did we find any indication she spoke up to defend the role of America's labor unions. And another board member says, nor did she do so in any of the 24 smaller board meetings held during her service. Clinton has since denounced Walmart policies, but at this 1990 stockholders meeting, she seemed to be very much the loyal company woman.
You know, as a shareholder and director of our company, I'm always proud of Walmart and what we do and the way we do it better than anybody else.
But 20 years later, critics say Walmart still lags in promoting women to top jobs. And the company is now defending itself in a discrimination lawsuit brought by 1.5 million current and former female employees.
I don't doubt the sincerity of her efforts, but we don't see a lot of evidence that conditions for women at Walmart changed much during the late 1980s or early 1990s.
As the wife of the then governor of Arkansas, Clinton also took a role in supporting a Buy America program to create American jobs.
One of the reasons we want to buy America is because we love America.
But as I reported at the time for NBC News in 1992, Walmart continued to get most of its products from overseas during its Buy America program, including from this factory in Bangladesh that used 11 and 12-year-old girls. Some of the foreign-made clothing was later found to be sold under Made in America signs in Walmart stores.
Made in Korea, made in China.
All at a time that Hillary Clinton served on the Walmart board. Clinton now says she did not know about the foreign sweatshops of children or how the Made in the USA campaign was being run. And as a candidate for president, Clinton, endorsed by more than a dozen unions, has sought to distance herself from Walmart, saying she no longer agrees with its principles and values and now believes that Walmart workers should be able to unionize. Rob.
We'll see if it comes up again in tonight's debate.
It may well. It's a major issue.
All right, Brian.
Purchase your tracks today.
UCLA just rolled out its first antibody test today. This one will screen medical workers on the front lines of the fight against coronavirus. NBC4's Kim Tobin spoke to the lead doctor who is conducting the test.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. Doctors at UCLA say healthcare workers are a high-risk group, and they need to constantly be monitored to make sure they're not passing the virus to each other or to their patients. Getting her blood drawn, Dr. Ashley Gray is in the first batch of antibody testing for a new study at UCLA focusing on healthcare workers.
You know, peace of mind is something that a lot of us would like to have right now, and many of us probably struggle with on a daily basis.
UCLA will test doctors and nurses, but also technicians, receptionists, and janitors. They want to see if their medical staff has been exposed to COVID-19 and if they've already become immune without knowing it.
How can we expect our health workforce to be protecting us if we're not doing everything that we can to protect them?
Dr. Anne Ramoyne is spearheading the study and says healthcare workers who know they have the antibodies will have some protection in their immune system.
This is how we can get started and be able to understand how to keep our health system functioning, how to allay the fears of healthcare workers who are out there putting their lives on the line every day, and by association, their families' lives on the line every day.
She does note that not every test is 100% accurate, and they'll need to look long term because they don't know how long the protective immunity may last. As Dr. Gray awaits her results, she's glad to be part of the study that could make a big difference in the ongoing fight.
Everybody in the lab has been working incredibly hard, but to come to this day is very fulfilling, so we're very excited about it.
UCLA says they'll first start with their own medical workers, but with the right funding, they'll be able to expand out to other hospitals and first responders, including paramedics and firefighters. Kim Tobin, NBC4 News.
To say things won't go back to truly normal until we have a vaccine that we've gotten out to basically the entire world.
How long?
It is fair to say things won't go back to truly normal until we have a vaccine that we've gotten out to basically the entire world.
Want to block herd immunity? Is it possible that we want a vaccine? Is that what this is all about? I mean, this is a conversation that I'm seeing happen. Just take a look at what they're telling us we're supposed to be waiting for. Listen to this very quickly.
When will a corona vaccine be ready? A vaccine that enables us to resume our lives without restrictions while protecting us from the disease.
The only thing that will really allow life as we once knew it to resume is a vaccine.
We should be and are and will be making a universal corona vaccine. To me, that's the best long-term goal for this.
This is a whole new era for making vaccines, and one that's emphasizing speed.
What we need is to make vaccines for 1 billion people, and we need to make that as quickly as possible.
Vaccines won't be ready overnight. They will take months. Probably 14, 15, 16 months.
At least 12 to 18 months away.
Until we have a vaccine.
Until we get a vaccine.
New hope for a vaccine.
That's how long strict rules will be in place across the state.
It is fair to say things won't go back to truly normal until we have a vaccine that we've gotten out to basically the entire world.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
Military to help out. And in the article, I know you don't reveal your sources, but I'd like you to elaborate about the metal shackles they're going to put on the wrists with the computer chip. And maybe Catherine Albrecht, you can add to that comment.
Unfortunately, I believe one among several plans to ensure that the government's edict of mandated vaccinations, and by the way, the state of Oklahoma last week passed through its House just such a law for the state of Oklahoma and its residents that everyone will be vaccinated in the state of Oklahoma. Now, having said that, there are also plans that will ensure that you do not freely travel, nor will you be able to really go anywhere without proof that you have had the vaccination at the point that the government mandates that certain levels of the population take the inoculation. When that happens, I have been told by state troopers across the country that there are plans ready to be implemented that would include roadblocks at choke points, as we call them, major interstate junctions around major cities and so forth, where the greatest number of people can be held until they are either prove their vaccination by papers, or in the case of a medical specialist in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, who told me that they had observed a semi-tractor trailer being unloaded at the hospital loading dock, pallets and pallets, scores of cases of metal bracelets that once put on would slip into a place and be either pegged in there with some kind of device to hold it in place, but the band was meant to be permanent. On top is a chip. That chip will include all kinds of information about you and the fact that you have been inoculated. Now, this is one of several plans. It has not yet seen the light of day, but it is there. It's in readiness. You choose the poison. It's either slow homicide or slow suicide. They're either going to kill you with the injection, or if you go up and say, sure, I just want to be able to go wherever I want to go, and you take it, to me, that's virtual suicide. Just slow motion suicide. So we've all talked about not getting the vaccination, that's clear, but you may not have a choice. I am told that the plans include buses that will be standing by for people at roadblocks that refuse to take the inoculation. The people will then be escorted to the buses and taken, as I was told in the state I was in at that time when I was speaking to the troopers, you're going to get a free ride to a nice warm bunk at Fort Riley. Well, it's one of several plans. We can't know until they're implemented, but I assure you that those plans are in place, and law enforcement is going to be pulled in. And one of the articles I wrote, I said the law enforcement community will enforce a new world order. There will be many that will not, and that's good news for us. But I believe it's still a majority that will be standing in line saying, get your shot or get on the bus. That's what's coming.
The Lord told me to tell you, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up.
I want to move to this next topic because
it goes right along with it. Yeah.
When you and Doc told me today what you were working on, it was so surreal. I mean, it's not. Yeah, we know that this is going to happen in the last days. The Bible tells us about a mark that's going to be on people's bodies. They're people being forced to enter into a financial system where nobody can buy or sell without the mark of the beast. So when you told me today, this mark of the beast project that Microsoft founder, billionaire Bill Gates is proposing in connection to the coronavirus outbreak, I just had to close my eyes and say, dear God, we're closer to the end than any of us realize.
So we've had our eyes on Mr. Gates from really the news that broke about Event 201, the pandemic coronavirus scenario, virtual scenario Mr. Gates ran and funded. And one of the things that caught our eye today in looking at what he's been doing since, Rick, he has now offered what he claims is a solution or a path to ending the virus. In addition to this lockdown scenario that he's proposed, he has also been working behind the scenes to create a quantum dot tattoo. A quantum dot tattoo. And where I first read about this was at a website called Biohack Info. They claim to be a news source that covers biohacking, which is the augmenting of the human body. You put in chips, you try to enhance the body through gene editing, cybernetics, basically putting the machines inside you. That's what this website specializes in. Well, in this post, they decided to discuss something that Bill Gates had done on Reddit. It's an online social media forum. On March 19th, he did a question and answer session. You could ask Bill Gates anything. He basically was open to the world to ask both about coronavirus or anything that was on your mind. Well, during one of the questions, Bill Gates was asked, what can people do about the onset of social distancing? What can we do to maintain society? What Bill Gates said was eventually we will have some digital certificates to show who has recovered, who had been tested, recently tested or tested in progress. And we will have a vaccine and a record of this, of who has received it through that digital certificate. And it turns out in December, this is an article from the Science Alert. It's quoting actually Science Translational Medicine, a journal. This was published on the 21st of December of last year. It's titled An Invisible Quantum Dot Tattoo Could Be Used to ID Vaccinated Kids. Well, this project has researchers at MIT and Rice University, with funding from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, working to create that digital certificate system. It's going to be a chip that actually is implanted into humans.
A mandatory vaccine, but the vaccine is going to carry the mark of the beast implant. And every person is going to be ordered to be vaccinated. And anybody who resists vaccination obviously will be ostracized from society, but possibly could be imprisoned for refusing an order. And parents will see their children taken away from them. I mean, Bill Gates, he's always been a vaccine freak. But now he wants to implant a digital device, a microchip, a nano-sized microchip in the vaccine. This is stuff I talked about 15 to 20 years ago, and people said, "Oh, that's too far out. That's crazy." They would never do stuff like that. But here we are today, and it's reality.
But it was at the Mobile World Congress Hall, Rick, where you and a couple members of the team saw something that was shocking, and it ties right into this Bill Gates nano tech. You want to talk about this, Rick? You were there.
That's
you
right.
saw this live.
Oh, we were in the front row, and the man that you see there on the left, he's actually having a microchip implanted in his hand. That's his hand on the screen. And we were sitting there in the front row and watched the entire thing take place. Now, interestingly, Mobile World Congress did not allow the news media to bring in TV cameras that year. And we were wondering why they were prohibiting us from carrying cameras. It wasn't just us, it was all media. But that's our video. We did that. That's our video. Well, what did we use? We used our mobile phones. Like, duh, it's a mobile phone conference. And every phone has a camera in it. And they were banning TV cameras. So we used our mobile phones to record what they were doing. And after that man received his microchip, they brought another man on stage who had previously been microchipped. They couldn't use the first man because they needed, I think they said 24 hours for the infection, in the hand to go down because his hand would be inflamed for a period of time. But they brought in another man, brought him on the stage who had been microchipped previously. And in real time, we watched him, there it is. He transferred money. There he is. He's putting the phone to his hand, and money is now being transferred from his bank account to another bank account. We saw it happen in real time.
Well, Rick, there's another tie into the Mobile World Congress to the initiatives Bill Gates is promoting. In addition to this quantum dot tattoo, Bill Gates has also been a huge proponent of the ID 2020 project. Now, the ID 2020 project has basically worked with Microsoft, have formed an alliance with the United Nations and the Mobile World Congress through the support of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Remember, you've been to so many World Congresses now at this point. You remember seeing those sustainable initiatives, those sustainable goals, the SDGs, yes, the Sustainable Development Goals, put up on the side of the walls. There's huge, basically presentations for it. They even had it at Davos. Well, this initiative that Bill Gates is pushing, the ID 2020, that has the goal to take a system like maybe even the vaccination system we just said, to have an ID for 1 billion people, if not maybe 7 billion. Right now they're starting with the poorest people in the world, but they want everyone to have a digital identity, one that can be tracked, one that can be watched, one that can be controlled. But the article I mentioned first, number 21, Biohack Info, in this blog post that they published, again, the title, Bill Gates will use microchip implants to fight coronavirus. They had a section in here that stated, currently the most feasible way of implementing digital identity is either through smartphones or RFID microchip implants. The latter will be Gates's likely approach, not only because of feasibility and sustainability, but also because for over 6 years, the Gates Foundation has been funding another project that incorporates human implantable microchip implants. The project, also spearheaded by MIT, is a birth control microchip implant that will allow women to control contraceptive hormones in their bodies. Mr. Gates has at least 3 projects he's working on simultaneously toward a dystopian future that we've read about in the book of Revelation.
Remember the meeting back in 2010 that Bill Gates attended? There were about 10 billionaires.
With Oprah?
Yeah, Oprah was there and Bloomberg. About 10 billionaires met in New York City to discuss pooling their resources together to reduce the Earth's population. And that was reported on the front page of the Times of London. Now, that happened to be the night that we did that show last month. That was our very last True News Godcast on YouTube. In the morning, they canceled our account. They blamed it on us talking about Israel, but it wasn't about Israel. It was about overpopulation. We got very, very close to what was really going on about coronavirus. And here we are today, and you guys are connecting the dots and showing that Bill Gates wants to track every human who's been vaccinated with a coronavirus vaccine. And he wants to put a microchip in the vaccine, a nano-sized microchip. It calls it a quantum dot tattoo. This guy's an enemy of the human race. He's an enemy of Almighty God.
Well, I'm just reminded of the scripture from Revelation chapter 13, verses 15 through 18. And it said this, "And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it's the number of a man, and his number is 666. And the only thing I would say at this point for our audience, for our viewers and listeners, is that you see so many things that are coming into play that you read about in the book of Revelation, that things are being fulfilled that I never even imagined that I would actually be able to see in this day and age. That I was always trying to figure out, Rick, what scenario that would be where people would be forced to have a mark to buy and sell, where people would be begging to be marked, where people would be begging. Because I hear so many people out there, well, no, I'll never take the mark, I'll never do it, I'll never receive a mark at all. But if your life depended on it, really, if a deadly virus was infecting the world and your life depended on it, would you? Would you have your child do it? Would you have your husband or wife do it? And so these are questions that really we all need to be asking again. What is the price of our faith? What is it that we're really willing to give up in order to live for Christ, to live for God? Because we may be approaching that very quickly, just based on the information that we've shared here on the Godcast today. How quickly could they implement quantum dot tattoos? I would think probably pretty quick. If everyone's begging, I don't want to die of a deadly virus, I need to be vaccinated, people would line up for it, wouldn't they?
The most cutting-edge thing about Hannes Sjöblad isn't the phone in his hand, it's the microchip actually in his hand. The tiny implant is the latest advance in a biohacking technology that is steadily becoming a part of normal life in Sweden.
We have created a new implant, which is not a chip, it's a full device where you can add different lights, different vibration, different functions. Sweden is a very tech-literate society. And I think this is the main explanation, really, why a lot of Swedes are adopting chip implants.
Swedes haven't been shy about upgrading themselves with the new version. Thousands already have microchip implants that they use in their daily lives, waving their hand to gain entrance to the gym, confirm their ID or make payments. A short moment of pain not putting them off becoming part Swede, part machine.
This event is an implant party, simply where ordinary people can show up and get a microchip embedded under their skin. The biohacking movement in Sweden is hosting them all over Europe, but it's at home where they get the most willing recipients.
I think it's really cool. You don't have to carry any keys or anything. It's just your body. In maybe 10 years, everything will be in your hand.
In Sweden more than anywhere else, the future is already here. The national train company SJ has around 2,600 people signed up to use microchips instead of train tickets.
Did you see that?
And no need to mind the generation gap. 18-year-old Felicia and Father Magnus still bear the scars of their new implants. Student Hannah Herving is also freshly chipped and now just needs to program it to open doors. Although importantly for a future career, it does already connect to her LinkedIn.
Some people say I'm mad that I don't know if it's safe and all that, but people have been putting these chips into animals for 20 years, so I'm not worried about that.
The long-term goal is for the new chips to help provide medical care in remote communities. They're already getting under the skin of the Swedes and may soon become just another normal part of modern life and of the human body. Paul Rees, Al Jazeera, Lund, Sweden.
Don't forget that to contact me for any reason, you can find me on Facebook by searching for Curtis Minister Roach. Minister Curtis Roach. Or our page, The End Time Watchman. Just leave me a message and I'll reply at my earliest. Also, subscribe to my YouTube channel and be blessed by the hundreds of videos available to you. Please feel free to share any video to help us spread the good news of Jesus Christ. You can also follow me on Twitter at Roach_Curtis. Should the Lord continue to tarry, see you next time. God bless.
Sound the trumpet now. Hear the Father say, Rapture is coming. Don't get left behind. Don't get left behind. The rapture is coming. Don't get left behind. Don't get left behind.